Welcome back to AF Tales. Today's story follows a man whose wife and in-laws secretly plan a family talk to tell him he is dead weight, only for the truth about her choices to come out instead. As you listen, notice the moment where you think he should have walked away. My wife said, "My parents say you're dead weight," I replied, "Good to know." Then I let her family start their intervention, walked out midway, filed for divorce, and I just watched as her career, reputation, and control slowly fell apart. My wife once said, "My parents think you are dead weight," and honestly, I agree. That was the moment something inside me went very quiet. My name is Illy. I have been married to Lauren for 5 years. Until about 6 months ago, I thought we had something real. We met at an art gallery opening 7 years ago. I was showing some of my work. She stood in front of one of my paintings for a long time and said it made her feel hopeful, like the world still had room for beauty. That version of Lauren feels very far away now. I teach art at an elementary school. I paint murals for local businesses, design logos for coffee shops, help kids discover they can create things that matter. I make around $50,000 a year from teaching and another 10 to 15 from side projects. It is not flashy, but it feels honest and meaningful. Lauren is a corporate attorney at a big firm. High floor office, big clients, $300 an hour for junior associates. She is brilliant, driven, and used to working 80-hour weeks during big cases. For a long time, I was proud to be the quiet place she came home to. Then about 6 months ago, something shifted. She started making little comments about my career. "Do you ever think about doing something bigger with your talent? Do you not want real money instead of teaching kids to finger paint? Could you use your art degree for something more substantial?" At first I told myself she was just stressed, but the comments did not stop. They got sharper, less curious and more disappointed. This was the first red flag I tried to paint over with good intentions. I tried to show her I was taking it seriously. I picked up extra after-school art club. I chased more commissions. I stayed up until 2 in the morning finishing murals. I even sent out resumes to galleries and design agencies, but nothing felt right. Even when I pushed myself, it still felt like the goalpost moved every week. Then came last Tuesday. We had a small argument about a networking event email I had forgotten to answer. It was the kind of thing that should have died in 10 minutes. Instead, Lauren looked at me like she was finally saying something she had been holding in. "My parents think you are dead weight," she said. "And honestly, I am starting to agree," I just said. "Good to know." That made her angrier than anything else. She wanted me to beg, to argue, to list my value like a job interview. I did not have the energy. I went to the guest room and listened to her slam cabinets in the kitchen. Sometimes silence is not weakness. It is the moment you stop playing along. The next day I came home early from a canceled conference. Lauren was on the phone in our bedroom. The door was half closed. Her voice was low, but I heard my name and I stopped. "Mom, he knows he is not on my level. He has to know that by now," she said. There was a pause. "I think Sunday is the right time. We can sit him down as a family and help him understand this is not working. Maybe if it comes from all of you, he will accept it without making everything difficult." She was planning a family talk about my future, an intervention about my dead weight status. I stood in the hallway and tried to picture it. Her parents, her sister, her brother-in-law, maybe an aunt. All of them explaining why I was not good enough. That night, I called my best friend Nate. He works in security and is good at noticing patterns. I told him about the call, about the way Lauren had been acting, about the late nights and extra travel. He asked a question I had tried not to think about. "Illy, do you think there might be someone else?" I wanted to say no. Instead, my brain pulled up a list of details. Business trips that lined up with the same colleague. Late calls taken in other rooms. A new wardrobe I never saw her wear at home. And one name that had come up a lot in the last year. "Ethan Cole, senior partner." Ethan said this. "Ethan thinks I should lead this case. Ethan invited us to this restaurant. Nothing was proof by itself. Together, it was a picture I did not want to see. Nate offered to check public social media and professional pages. He found conference photos, group dinners, comments on LinkedIn that felt too warm for standard colleagues. Still not proof, but enough to confirm something was off. I sat with that for 3 days. I did not accuse her. I did not try to trap her. I watched her and I watched myself watching her and realized I had been living with a stranger for months. Sunday was coming. The family intervention. I decided I would not defend myself. I wanted to hear what story Lauren told about our failing marriage. If she was involved with someone else, she was not going to confess. She would let her family paint me as the problem, then file for divorce with their blessing. I was not going to hand her that ending. On Friday afternoon, I called my father-in-law, James, directly. "James, I heard about dinner Sunday," I said. "Lauren also mentioned you think I am dead weight." There was a long silence. "Illy," he said carefully, "we are concerned about long-term compatibility. Lauren grew up with certain expectations. We want to make sure you are on the same page." I thanked him and hung up. I did not mention Ethan or the travel patterns. Let them think this was just about ambition. Because I had made a decision. I would show up, let them begin their talk, and then I would ask one simple question. Who is Ethan Cole? Sunday came. Lauren talked about work the whole drive. It sounded like any other family dinner. Her mom was making that chicken dish I supposedly loved, even though I had told her more than once I did not like tarragon. After 7 years with them, her family still did not really know me. Maybe they had never wanted to. We pulled up to James and Caroline's house. Large stone front, perfect hedges, country club nearby, the kind of place that whispers money and effort. Inside, her sister Paige and her husband Ryan were already there, plus Aunt Linda. Dinner started the way it always did. Caroline asked about Lauren's latest case. James talked about a hospital merger. Paige complained about a rough shift at work. Ryan told a funny story from the firehouse. I pushed food around my plate and waited. Finally, Caroline turned to Lauren with that soft, practiced voice. "Sweetheart, your father and I have been talking. We are worried about you. You work so hard and carry so much. We want to make sure you are getting the support you need at home." Lauren took the cue. "Illy and I have been thinking about our future," she said. "Honestly, I do not think we are aligned anymore. I feel like I am carrying this marriage alone." She talked for several minutes. She described our relationship like a business deal that was no longer profitable. She never said the word divorce, but it hovered there. This is where many people would start defending themselves, explaining, listing their good traits. I decided not to sell myself to a table of people who had already decided my value. When she finished, I asked, "So what exactly are you asking for, Lauren?" "I am asking for my family's input," she said. "Does anyone else see what I see?" James started to say something about goals and lifestyle. I cut in. "Before we discuss my lack of ambition, maybe we should talk about who Ethan Cole is." The room went completely silent. Lauren's face drained of color. Caroline looked confused. Paige's eyes went wide. James's expression hardened. He stood up slowly. "I was going to wait until after dinner to bring this up," he said. "But since Illy asked, let us talk about it now. Lauren, who is Ethan Cole, and why is he under investigation by your firm's HR department for inappropriate relationships with subordinates?" I realized in that moment that I was not the only one who had been paying attention. Lauren crumbled. Her mouth opened and closed before any words came out. "Dad, how did you know about that?" she finally whispered. "I have friends in the legal community," James said. "Word travels." "I have been hearing things for weeks. Have you been involved with this man?" Paige made a small sound. "Lauren," she said, "is he the one you told me about, the guy at work who really understands you?" Lauren shot her sister a sharp look, but it was too late. I leaned back. "I've been tracking inconsistencies too," I said. "Business trips, social media, late-night calls. I did not want to believe it, but here we are. So before we decide that I am dead weight, maybe we should talk about why you needed validation from another man." James looked at me, and for the first time since I had known him, there was respect in his eyes. Then he turned back to Lauren. "Maybe the problem is not Ellie's ambition," he said quietly. "Maybe it is your lack of character." Caroline tried to smooth things over the way she always did. James shut it down with one look. Paige was crying quietly. Ryan stared at his plate. Aunt Linda had gone completely silent. I stood up. "You do not get to rewrite this and make me the villain," I said to Lauren. "You do not get a family intervention to justify whatever you have been doing with Ethan. I am going to contact a lawyer. I am going to start separation proceedings. And I am leaving this house now because I have nothing else to say to you." Sometimes the strongest move is to stop arguing and simply walk away. I left while Lauren was still frozen in her chair, while Caroline reached for her hand, while James looked at his daughter like he was seeing a stranger. I drove back to our house, packed a bag, and went to stay with Nate. The truth had come out at that table, but it did not feel like a win. It felt like watching a building you worked hard on crumble in front of people who never wanted to live in it anyway. The next 3 weeks were strange. I slept in Nate's spare room on a too-soft mattress. Every morning I woke up and had about 5 seconds where I forgot my marriage was over. Then I remembered and the day began. Lauren called me 47 times. I know because I counted. I answered twice. The first time she cried and begged me to come home. She said Ethan was just a mentor, that nothing physical had happened, that I had overreacted and humiliated her. I asked one question. If your dad had not confronted you at dinner, would you have ever told me the truth? She hesitated. That pause told me everything. I hung up. The second time she was angry. She said I had ruined her life, that her career was falling apart, that I needed to tell people the real story. When I asked her what version she wanted me to share, she could not answer that either. Meanwhile, Paige was sending me quiet updates. She felt guilty for going along with the intervention plan. The HR investigation at Lauren's firm expanded. Ethan had not just been mentoring her. At least 2 other junior associates filed complaints about him making promises about advancement in exchange for personal relationships and creating a hostile environment. Lauren got pulled into multiple interviews. The firm did not care if she said nothing physical had happened. They cared about judgment and patterns. She was pulled off the partner track, suspended for 2 weeks. Then pushed to resign. Depending on whose story you hear, she either quit or was told to go before they made it official. The legal world is small. Word spread. Her reputation took a hit. Job hunting became harder. Part of me felt sad for her. Part of me remembered the woman who used to paint with me on quiet Sundays. But mostly I felt tired. James called me and asked to meet for coffee. We sat at a small table downtown. He ordered black coffee for both of us. "I owe you an apology," he said. "I raised Lauren to believe status equals worth. That achievement is the only thing that matters. I am watching that belief break her life." He said he would not pressure me to stay. He would not try to fix what was already broken. He just wanted me to know he saw his part in it. I did not know what to say. I told him I appreciated the honesty. That was enough. Caroline reacted differently. At first, she tried to blame me. Paige told me she pulled her aside. "Mom, this is partly your creation," she said. Since then, Caroline has been quieter, less quick to judge. That might be as close to accountability as she gets. I hired a lawyer named Angela. She is in her 50s, direct, and has seen every type of divorce. We moved forward. No kids, thankfully, so it was mostly money and property. Lauren wanted the house. I did not fight her. I had never really felt at home there. Angela made sure I was not taken advantage of. We split what needed splitting. While all of this was happening, my regular life kept going. I still taught art. The kids still argued over which color blue was best for the ocean. We started a big underwater mural in the cafeteria. Watching them work together reminded me why I chose this job. It was never about money. It was about meaning. One day, Maya from the counseling office brought me a coffee and sat with me at lunch. She did not push for details. We just talked about school, students, small things. It was the first time in weeks I felt like a normal person instead of a problem to be solved. Not every healing moment is dramatic. Some are just quiet and kind. Eventually, the divorce papers were ready. I signed them in Angela's office on a Tuesday. When I walked outside, the sun was brighter than I expected. I did not feel huge relief or deep sadness, just a steady sense that this chapter was closed. Lauren took a job as in-house counsel at a mid-sized company, not as prestigious as her old firm, but stable. She is in therapy now. A few months after the divorce, she asked to meet for coffee, not to get back together, just for closure. We met once. She told me her whole life had been built on needing external approval. Grades, schools, jobs, promotions, people's opinions. When I stopped fitting that story, when I did not become the kind of husband who impressed her colleagues, she turned her own fear into blame and put it on me. She said I deserved better. She was sorry it took losing everything to see it. I told her I appreciated the apology. But I also told her I could not be the one to forgive her into feeling better. I could not be her proof of growth. She nodded. We left it there. James and Caroline are now in family therapy with their daughters. Paige says it is awkward and overdue. James checks in with me sometimes, just as a person, not as a father-in-law. Caroline sent me a handwritten letter about how she had taught her daughters to value the wrong things and was trying to unlearn that. She did not ask for a reply. I kept the letter anyway. As for me, my life looks simple from the outside. I am still teaching. I am now head of the arts program. The previous department head retired and the principal asked if I wanted the job. It comes with a small raise, more work, and more chances to build something good for the kids. We started a partnership with a local art college. Their students come help in our after-school program. The kids love it. A mural I did on a coffee shop downtown went viral when someone posted a time lapse on social media. Suddenly, I had more commission requests than I could accept. I am booked months ahead for side projects. I say no to some of them on purpose. I paint because I love it, not to prove I can make a certain amount of money. I live in a small apartment near a park. It has good light and creaky floors. My landlord does not care that I have covered the walls in my own work. There is a balcony where I drink coffee and watch people walk their dogs. No one would call it impressive, but I would, because it feels like mine. Paige and Ryan had a baby 2 months ago. I visited the hospital with a painting I made for the nursery, a night sky with stars and planets. Paige cried and told me I am still family to her. Ryan said I am welcome at Sunday dinners any time. Now they host them at their place instead of James and Caroline's. I go sometimes. It is strange being there without Lauren. It is also okay. Recently, someone who had read my story sent me a message. They said they felt like they were not enough for their partner, the way I had once felt, and asked if it gets better. I told them the truth. It does not get better in one big moment. It gets better in small ways. In mornings where you wake up and your chest feels lighter than it did last week. In choices you make for yourself instead of for someone else's approval. In quiet evenings in a space that finally feels like home. I am not rich. I am not famous. I teach kids how to mix colors and trust their creativity. I paint walls. I live in a modest place and drive an old car. But I am at peace. When I look in the mirror now, I see someone I recognize, someone I am proud to be. Lauren was wrong when she called me dead weight. I was never dead weight. I just was not the kind of ornament her world wanted to display. Here are some lessons I took from all of this. Lesson 1. When someone needs a whole room of people to convince you that you are not enough, that says more about their insecurity than your worth. Lesson 2. If a partner secretly plans an intervention about your value but hides their own behavior, the issue is honesty, not ambition. Lesson 3. Emotional affairs and secret attachments grow in the spaces where real conversations should be. If you feel distance and confusion, pay attention to the patterns, not just the excuses. Lesson 4. Your work does not have to impress the people at fancy dinner tables to be meaningful. If it aligns with your values and helps others, it already has real value. Lesson 5. You are allowed to walk away from a story where you are constantly cast as the problem. Protecting your peace is not selfish. Lesson 6. Healing is not about proving your ex wrong. It is about building a life that feels right to you, even if no one else ever claps for it. What about you? If you were in Ellie's place, would you have stayed and tried to fix things, or walked out of that dinner like he did? And have you ever been made to feel not enough because your dreams did not match someone else's status checklist? Share your thoughts and experiences in the comments.